Hello, this is Mrs. Coffee, and we are getting ready to do Sheep in a Jeep Lab D, which is sheep belts. So go ahead and put your name at the top of your CAMI form so that we are ready to go. And then the instructions for this are listed right here at the beginning. But before we look at the instructions, we need to know what things we're going to need for this experiment. So we're going to need our sheep in a Jeep and the materials for the ramp. We're also going to need a tape measure and a sturdy book at the end of the ramp this time. Okay, so now looking at the instructions, it says remove the tape from the sheep and place the sheep back in the Jeep. So this time our sheep is not going to be seat belted in. He does not have tape keeping him in the vehicle. He is not wearing his sheep belt. So he's just loose in the Jeep. Okay. And then we are going to change the ramp to 10 centimeters tall, which is one of the highest of our placements that we've been using. 10 centimeters is this one. And so I'm going to double check to make sure that I'm using the right setting by measuring with the measuring tape. Remember, we use centimeters, which is part of the metric system because we're doing science. And this is 10 centimeters. So this is ready for us to complete the ramp. I'm going to give it a little bit more structure. And then we have George, that is my helper. George, will you put the ramp on at the end? And then it says, place a book flat on the floor 20 centimeters from the end of the ramp. So George is going to measure the end of the ramp to the book. So you're going to have to push that book back, it looks like. And then center the book so it's going to be at the end of the ramp. All right, so our book is going to act like a wall. So if you were in a car and you did not have your seatbelt on, like this sheep in the Jeep, what do you think might happen to you? So you need to make a prediction before we do the experiment on this line right here. It says, make a prediction. What will happen to the sheep when the Jeep hits the book? I want you to write in a complete sentence. So you could write something like this. I think the sheep will, and then you have to tell me what you think is going to happen. And then say because, and then tell me what you think. Why do you think that's going to happen? Okay, so that's kind of your format. I think the sheep will, what do you think it's going to do? Write that in the lines here. And then because, and then tell me why you think so. Okay, and then it says release the Jeep from the top of the 10 centimeter high ramp without pushing it. Let it hit the book. So George, you can go ahead and put the sheep at the top of the ramp and let it go and see what happens to our poor little sheep. Okay, so surprisingly, he did not fall out of the Jeep, probably because it's so little and the Jeep is pretty big, but he did get jostled around quite a bit. He did get banged around in there. So if he was a person in that vehicle, he may have crashed into the windshield and gotten injured in the vehicle, but he did not completely fall out of the Jeep, which is surprising. So then you have to look at the Part D questions down here. It says, what happened to the sheep when the Jeep hit the book and why? So I want you to answer this. The sheep, and then tell me what happened because, so you have to tell me why. Why did that sheep get banged up? Why did that Jeep go flying inside of the vehicle? Let's try it one more time. Go ahead. So here's our Mr. Sheep in the Jeep. Oh, that time, look what happened. Our poor little sheep fell out of the Jeep. Okay, so sometimes that happens and sometimes the Jeep just gets banged around inside of the Jeep. But either way, not very safe. So the last question is asking you about that. Why is it important to always wear a seatbelt in a moving vehicle? So to write in a complete sentence, you want to write, it is important to wear a seatbelt because, and then you have to tell me why it's important for you to wear a seatbelt. If you are a passenger or if you are someday a driver, why do you want to wear a seatbelt? After we just did this experiment, you should have a good reason why a seatbelt is important. There is this word, I'm going to put it here at the bottom, and I want you to copy it down. Inertia. An object in motion will remain in motion unless an unbalanced force acts on it. The unbalanced force, in this case, was our book.